Yo, 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 what's going on? It's your boy Kuya P of the ShoPowSho. Before we get to this week's episode of the ShoPowSho, I want y'all to check out this amazing festival that I'll be collaborating with my folks over at the Mixed Asian Media Festival. Here we go right now. Check it out.
In 2017, we launched Hapa Mag, inspired by my blog, Miso Hapa.
For many of us, it has come to represent a space for us to express our mixed racial heritage with Asian or Pacific Islander ancestry.
To be Hapa is to be a part of a diverse and growing community with many perspectives.
In 2021, we made the decision to move to a broader future by renaming ourselves Mixed Asian Media, MAM for short.
In celebration of this re-identification, we present the first Mixed Asian Media Fest, MAM Fest, a glimpse of Mixed Asian and Pacific Islanders in their art forms, including art, film, theater, and dance.
In light of recent events, MAMFest will be an online event. However, we're hopeful that future years will allow us to meet in person and gather in physical space.
And have a creative project? Submit to MAMFest on filmfreeway.com.
Yo, what's going on? This is the NOC, the Nerds of Color, and we are back with another ShoPowSho. I am Kuya P, aka the Babinka Boy, the Adobro, and Holla Holla Homie, and a Cinegang gang part member, and now Sisig Supreme. Shout out to OG Sisig Supreme. What's good? And of course, I have the amazing aunties, you know, the Lechon ladies, the Tocino Terminators, and the Dinaguan Destroyers. What's up, Cataphoric and Viva Valentina? How y'all doing?
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Patrick.
Yo, what up, Tina?
Hi, Kat.
Hey, thank you. Yo, I'm this close to getting our t-shirt line, our Filipino streetwear line. That's right. I'm incorporating all these words. I have some like images that are at the ready. As soon as they're fully ready, I'll show you, and then we're going to launch our t-shirt line, and hopefully we'll get some merch popping off and stuff like that.
Hey, Maganda forever.
Hey, there you go. So yeah, trying to make that happen. Awesome. But it's great to see y'all. It's been a minute. So happy to see y'all. It feels like forever, but we're gonna get it rolling today. We're bringing in part of our home squad with the ShoPowSho, being that we're part of the Nerds of Color, the NOC, one of my favorite writers in our squad. She's mestizo as well, Filipina in the house. Let's bring her on. I'm happy to have her here and join us. Let's hear it for Miss Lauren Lola.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Hi, Lauren. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And also, can I just say, Patrick, like the number of phrases you can make from Filipino dishes is quite astonishing.
Yo, I got more on the way. I got more on the way.
And finally, we're getting merch. Is that
Yes.
is that true?
It's coming.
Finally, I was wondering when that was going to happen.
I've been in the lab cooking it up, like food. And talking to Keith with, the NOC, shout out to Keith Chow, talking to Urias over at Black Heroes Matter, some other friends, and yeah, got some designs up. But first is going to be a very easy line. It's just going to be simple statements like Adobros and our logos and stuff, but they're on the way. And I got some other stuff cooking, and actually some caricature stuff that the ladies don't even know about of themselves, and yours truly, that I'm working with some Lumpia with a Vengeance people. You know what I'm saying? So hey, sorry, it's cooking. It's cooking. But I want to surprise people. So
just make sure I look cute.
I got you. So anyway, this is all about a celebration of my homie, Miss Lauren Lola. This is your episode. We want to just shout out your journey, your Filipinx journey, and the amazingness you're doing with the Nerds of Color and outside of it with Cam, with Hapa. You're just doing a lot of cool stuff. So let's kick it off. I'm going to toss it to Miss Viva Valentina with our first question out the gate. Let's go.
So we always want to know, where are you from? But like, where are your parents from?
Yes. I think the question, where are your grandparents from, will be more correct in my case. But even just so, I'll explain why in just a sec. To answer the first question, I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, born, raised, and still reside. My dad is also from the Bay Area, and so is my mom, although my mom was actually born on a military base in El Paso, Texas, but she moved to California when she was really little. So she's a California girl all the way. But yeah, they're both US born, so they're not immigrants, which is a little different about me. But the reason why I say that where your grandparents from applies even just so is that in both sets of grandparents, one grandparent was born here and then the other grandparent immigrated here. So my mom's side, my grandmother is from Germany. On my dad's side, my grandfather was from the Philippines. So that's how all that worked out.
Nice.
Awesome. So awesome. So tell us about growing up in the Bay. What would your parents tell us about a young Lauren Lola in the Bay?
Oh boy. How much time do you have?
What would you not want them to tell us?
I guess the thing that comes to mind first is that when I was little, and I can't believe I'm saying this publicly, but when I was little, my nickname was Energizer Bunny, like the Energizer battery in the commercial with the pink bunny and the drum. And just keeps going and going and going. That's how I was when I was little, and that's how I am now as well. So I was always constantly doing something. It wasn't like running, up and down the house, not like that, but just like I was always creating something. I would be like drawing a picture or writing a story while I was watching something on TV, and something like that. So I think, I was always an energetic bunny.
So very creative early on. I love it. So what do you think, or what do you recall was your medium at that time, like 1 to 5? Actually, it's probably just drawing because you can't really remember that between 1 and 5. So we'll say 1 to 10. What do you think you were into, or what would your parents say you were into the most in expressing your creativity?
Storytelling.
Storytelling. Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
what did you do? It was Santa Claus or something like that.
Well, my parents are both really big bookworms. Okay. Like if you were like, you can tell someone is a voracious reader if you go into their house and you see a bookshelf with so many books around. And that is the case with, my upbringing growing up. That was a common sight, being read to before going to bed, being read to in the morning, in the afternoon. And, this is before elementary school, of course. So I was able to do that. I was always encouraged to read. Awesome. No doubt about that. And sometimes, there are people who read a lot and then they suddenly decide to do stories of their own. And that just happened to be the case with me. I don't know what age specifically, but it's just been going on for as long as I can remember. Even when I didn't know how to write, I would just draw little pictures to tell stories instead. And then once I knew how to write, then it just kind of went on from there.
That's awesome. I love it. Can you recall some of your favorite stories that you would have them read, or like Mom, read, or Dad, read that again. Was there like a particular favorite for you?
Okay, well, I know that they're a bit controversial now, but I was mad obsessed with Dr. Seuss books to the point where, like, my mom will tell you that there have been a couple instances where she would have to buy multiple copies of the same book because I was always like chewing on them for some reason. Like, I loved books so much I wanted to eat them. So yeah, I was a very interesting child in that regard.
Which one was your favorite?
I think it might be The Cat in the Hat, although I don't remember. It's been really long ago.
Oh my God, I love it. My favorite was The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. And I had a copy that was missing like the front and the back. So it was just like the middle part of the story. But that was the story I always wanted to read, was The Cat in the Hat Comes Back.
Nice.
I love it. I think All the Places You'll Go was for me.
Good one.
That
was
like
that a Dr. Seuss book?
Am I confusing the two? I thought you said Dr. Seuss, right?
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also remember reading books when I was younger where I thought they were Dr. Seuss because the artistic style was very similar, but I looked later and I realized that, that's a completely different author. So yeah, I don't know.
You know who I confuse?
Yeah, I'm just never sure sometimes.
I confuse Shel Silverstein and Dr. Seuss a lot because I used to be a big Shel Silverstein fan. No? Kat, you ain't into Shel?
Oh, no, I love him. I'm just saying they're very
different.
They're very different. Sarah Sylvia Cynthia Stout would not take the garbage out. I used to teach that in high school even.
Awesome. Can you tell us maybe some stories going along with, talking about stories from your parents and everything? And can you talk about like stories they would tell you that they learned about the culture? Like, growing up, I know they were, you said, Germany and your parents were in Cali, but like, what did they teach you? Actually, that's a better question. What did they teach you about what they know about Philippine culture and German culture, right? Because it was also Germany, from what I understand.
Yeah, well, I guess, just to break it down even further, I'm Filipino, German, Portuguese, and Irish.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. So what did they teach you just about, about your ethnicity, if you will?
It kind of depends on which one you're talking about. Like, I grew up knowing quite a bit about my German ancestry. Okay. And I have a very close relationship with my grandmother, or Oma, as I called her. And like Christmases and Easters, there would be a lot of traditional German dishes. And I grew up hearing like bits and pieces of German everywhere. I actually went to Germany when I was 17. So that was a very amazing experience. As for the others, not as much. Okay. Like for Ireland, I'm like 10th generation Irish American, so it goes really far back. So like the closest for that one is to have Irish food on, St. Patrick's Day. My Portuguese side, my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, he was Portuguese American. He was kind of disconnected from his family just because of how they treated my grandmother when they got married. So I didn't grow up knowing too much about that culture, although I do love Portuguese baked goods. I think they're just a bomb. And I've been learning Portuguese for the past year since we've been sheltering in place. Yeah. So that's been pretty amazing. My Filipino culture, I wasn't brought up knowing too much about my Filipino culture for a variety of reasons. But at the time of being a teenager and onwards, I've just kind of been learning it on my own. Okay. And now I'm at a point in my life where I feel comfortable and feel assured in addressing myself as Filipino American, and it actually means something to me.
Girl, yeah, welcome. We love to hear it.
Yeah, because we are the Mestizo Mafia, and that's kind of like one of the key reasons why we formed ShoPowSho, is to get that connection. Because for me personally, I feel like a fake Filipino sometimes because I don't know the language. I wasn't born there. Those are the two big key things. But I think most of y'all know that's on this call right now is I'm like the most Pinoy pride cat out there. But at the same time, I feel fake because I don't speak the language and I don't know too many. I haven't been there. So welcome to the tribe, girl, because that's what we're here to learn.
And it feels very good. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but yeah, it feels very cathartic to be talking to all of you because all of you are mixed race Filipino Americans, so you do understand that little nuance of not feeling Filipino enough, but also being Filipino enough in the bigger scheme of things. So yeah, like all of you get it. So it feels like an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Oh, well, welcome to the Mestizo Mafia.
Virtual hugs all the way around.
And the ShoPowSho. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that you're part Irish too. I always make that joke, especially around St. Patrick's Day. I'm like, oh, babe, yeah, we got to go get some Guinness, you know, because it's my holiday, because I'm 1/16 Irish, you know. And he's like, shut up. Like, what?
And of course, that's how
it's like St. Patrick's Day is like the one day of the year where being Irish actually means something.
Yeah, right.
It's my namesake holiday. I was going to either be Patrick or Michael. And so I ended up being Patrick Michael. Michael's my middle name. They were trying to choose between the two, and Patrick won out. So learning about culture, learning about that, have you ever felt were you ever treated because you look a certain way? Can you tell us about that? You know, like, did you gravitate towards one or the other? That's two questions in one. I keep doing this. I apologize.
Start with one and then go to the next one.
So did you gravitate towards one culture over the other growing up? Not that one you didn't dislike any of the other ones, but did you just like feel more connected with one part of yourself than you did over the other parts of yourself?
Absolutely. So what I tell people is that I was brought up in a predominantly white household. So I grew up, you know, feeling very white and having a very white view of the world. But as I got older and started connecting with my Filipino side more, especially in college, because that's when everyone opens their eyes in college, that starts to change a little. So now, you know, asking me now, it's not so much one or the other. I just identify as all the things that make up my genetic makeup.
Awesome. And so now back to the other part of it, were you treated anyway, or did you feel different because you looked a certain way? Like, did they automatically like, you know, you look Hispanic or you look this, you know what I'm saying? Did you get kind of like labeled or blocked into a certain category with people growing up?
Oh, they as in people in general?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because my appearance kind of confuses people. Like for those who don't know, the San Francisco Bay Area is very diverse. I grew up around a lot of diversity. Like to say, like I can't say that I'm colorblind because there's no such thing unless you actually are literally colorblind. But like, I would see race, but I didn't really think much of it at the time. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, so basically, it's really kind of a soft way of going into racism. Did you experience racism by your appearance? Were you already kind of classified by other people because of the way you look?
Oh, right. Yes. Yes and no. I guess I think it kind of depends on who you ask. I didn't start getting asked, "What are you?" until I was in junior high. And I noticed that at that time, that's when people started, you know, referring to people like by their race. You would hear things like, "Oh, do you see that black guy do whatever?" Or "Did you see that Asian girl do whatever this thing is?" So yeah, in retrospect, it doesn't surprise me that that's when I started getting asked the question a lot, and there would be a lot of assumptions made too. Like I've heard the whole list. I have a list of like, "Oh, are you Native American? Are you Hispanic? Are you
like a
Chinese?" I got asked if I'm Chinese, and I'm like, I'm not. That's the wrong Asian. No. I've been asked if I'm Colombian, which was a very interesting guess. But yeah, people think with a very monoracial point of view. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that, oh, this person might be mixed, which is what I am.
All right. So, just so as we go into some of the other questions now, we're trying to framework and, learn how our culture, relates to ourselves and growing up and with what we choose to do, is why, we ask these things on the ShoPowSho to discover that if we've all experienced these same experiences. So, I talked a little bit about 1 to 10, what your parents were thinking about you. You're an Energizer bunny. Let's start going into like school, elementary, middle school. What are some tales we can learn about Lauren and the evolution of Lauren through some of your schooling? Do you remember what you're into and as you grew up from elementary and middle?
So like who I was and what I was into, those were the two questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, like were you a horse girl or were you big on books, skate in the park? What kind of
were you a theater kid?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I guess from elementary school to junior high school. I say junior high because I went to a junior high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess from that period, as far as my evolution goes, it's actually very noticeable because when I was in elementary school, I had no self-confidence whatsoever. Like, I don't even recognize myself when I look back on it. It's pretty crazy, but I was just very closed off, had no confidence, very shy. And then junior high, it was the other way around. Like, I wasn't noisy or anything. I just would still be quiet, but not in a shy kind of way. And I would start to become more outspoken. And that would become a quality that would be embedded in my identity going forward. And the very constant throughout all that is my love of reading and writing. In fact, in junior high school, I took part in an essay competition held by, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called GREAT. Do you know what that is?
No.
It stands for Gang Resistance Education and Training. It's kind of like DARE, but the focus was more about, gang prevention. So I entered in an essay competition when I was in 7th grade, and I think there were 400 submissions from my school. And out of the 7 winners for that year, I was one of them. And we actually got to go to a Giants game in San Francisco.
Hey, congrats.
Nice.
Thank you.
This
was like 16 years ago.
The first flowering of your writing.
Recognition.
And storytelling. Yeah.
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah. So basically, he was Energizer Bunny, then you kind of came into yourself a little bit, you quieted down, but then it sparks back up in junior high school, right? Is what we're saying.
Well, high school is another case in of itself.
Okay. So let's get into that. Let's get into high school and just how some of these creative elements from the Energizer Bunny started blossoming into was the greats in high school, or was that junior high?
So I think the evolution began in junior high, and then in high school, it was, how do I put this? High school was a very toxic environment, and as a result, I became a toxic person. Like, if you've ever seen Spirited Away, I was basically No Face. I wanted the attention, but I didn't know how to get it, so I just ate people. But yeah, like the social hierarchy of that place was ridiculous. And I had such a bad temper. It was ridiculous. Like it was to the point where I was voted highest temper my senior year of high school. And I tell people this now and they don't believe me because they're just like, what? You have a hot temper? It's like, yeah, I just control it better now. But yeah, there's just like the outspoken factor definitely played a role into me not being very popular in high school.
Did that pull you away from your creativity then in high school? So you were productive in junior high, then because of just that environment, you didn't do much creative wise until you then went to college?
Nope, it actually drove me toward it.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So like I was involved in writing in so many different aspects. I was in honors English for 3 years. I say 3 years because I was in AP English for 2 weeks senior year before I pulled out because I was not a fan of the teacher. I was in honors English. I did Poetry Slam Club. We used to have that back then. I was part of the literary magazine. I was on my high school's newspaper for 3 years. I was a chief editor senior year. Yeah, people kind of knew me as like the voracious writer without even explicitly saying it. So Lois it was
Lane.
Huh?
Lois Lane. Like Superman.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't follow Superman too closely, so it took me a minute to realize. But I guess you could say that.
So essentially, you kind of channeled all this environment into benefit for yourself, and just kind of exploring yourself through your writing because of just the environment, then you'd say.
Yeah, through writing, through media making as well, because I did a lot of like filming and photography for the theater department as well. Yeah, just like trying to channel myself into as many creative aspects as possible, just to kind of keep my head elsewhere while trying to navigate this insane environment that is high school.
Awesome. So what would you give a person who's watching our show right now, and you're at this point of your stage of your life, what would be a Lauren Lola lesson to our viewer right now, if they're going through this same deal, if they're experiencing this same kind of toxic environment? What would you tell a person just like you out there right now that's listening, a lesson you've learned and you'd want to impart to them?
That is an interesting question, because I actually never told anyone this, but I almost thought about transferring at one point because it was just so chaotic. But I would say if you can't, transfer schools for whatever reason, like if there are district rules saying you have to go to the school in the city you live in, then find outlets within that school to devote your energy to. And, that will carry you through it.
All right.
And it'll pay off. Trust me.
Awesome. Make it into motivation, if you will. So one of the big questions we get when we're in our high school arena of talking about one's life is, as we all experience it as Filipinos, and what we want to do when we go to college, and we kind of get pulled into doctor, lawyer, accounting, engineer. How was that decision for you? Were you kind of given that kind of same push and pull, and how did that turn out for you? And then choosing to go to Cal State Fullerton, if I'm correct, right? Cal State? Yeah, Cal State University. So
I went to Cal State East Bay.
Cal State East Bay. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. So I fortunately did not have to deal with that pressure of, oh, you need to do this so you can pursue this. My parents never enforced that on me, because my dad had been through that and he did not want that for me and my siblings. So they just said, just find what you want to do and go into it. So I still wanted to kind of keep some practicality to it while wanting to pursue what I wanted to do. So that's why I chose communication at Cal State East Bay. It has a really good media production program, and so that's what I pursued. And I also decided to minor in theater on the side.
Awesome. So let's talk about the college experience, leaving home, and for you, I think what I recall earlier is that where you met more people of Filipino descent. How was that? Let's just talk about that college experience.
Yeah. Well, once again, Cal State East Bay is also in the Bay Area. So the diversity makeup wasn't that different from what I was accustomed to growing up. So I grew up around other Filipino Americans, but high school, that's when I started making the effort to connect with that side more, but wasn't very successful. And the Filipino Student Union there wasn't super organized. So it was really in college where I started connecting with them more, with identifying as a Filipino American, as an Asian American, and as a mixed race person as well. Like ethnic studies, I'm so glad ethnic studies exists, because that's really where I started to connect the dots on all that. And actually Cal State East Bay, the largest non-Greek organization there is PASA, which is Filipino American Student Association. And even though I wasn't a member of it, I was involved in PCN 1 year. So I was really able to delve into learning more about the culture through that. And it was actually in the same time period that I got involved in a nonprofit off campus called Collaboration. And that's where I really started to learn more about, how I identify as an Asian American.
Awesome. So now going back to the profession you'd want to do later on, how was now in college learning your craft of writing and screenplays and music and all that? Well, not music, but just delving more into yourself as a writer. How was that in college and those lessons? What were some of the hardest lessons you learned out the gate? let's start with that. Like, what's the hardest lesson you learned, and then what was the easiest lesson you learned about writing?
This is kind of a tricky question for me to answer, just because I was in a media production program, so they didn't just have us do writing; they also had us do like audio recording, public speaking, and video production, and all that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the hardest lesson was probably, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if there was a hard lesson, because a lot of the writing that I did really was just taking what I already knew and perfecting it through, correct techniques and whatnot that you do for like a news article.
So then what did you find that you, so then what did you find then that you like, oh, I could have done this better, with my writing? Like, was it like from as simple as like certain ways of doing a breakdown of notes to then interpret that into a story? Like, what were just like some tips that you think were really beneficial for you to improve your writing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
No worries.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Some context and just some, things for the people that have watched, with the different, things that we learned, coming up and, choosing the profession we do. If you were to ask the same for me, I'd be in the same boat, because it's you just kind of do until till everything falls into place like Tetris, and then okay, that's how we do it. So then just
one thing that
on the
comes
creative
to
path,
one thing that comes to mind that has been on my mind a lot, especially with the event over the last week, is that in college they teach you, if you're pursuing to be a journalist, is that you can't be biased. You have to be unbiased. You have to be detached from it. And people are trying to apply that argument to the journalists who are reporting about the hate crime that happened in Atlanta the other week. And they're saying that, oh, why are you getting these Asian American reporters to, just because they speak the language, that they're going to think that's going to be more biased? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't think a white reporter is going to do it justice, because they are so unattached from it that it's not going to capture the experience of what these people have been through.
I completely agree.
So yeah, like it makes sense on paper, but in real life, it's like sometimes you have to make that decision of, do you really want to be given unbiased perspective on it? I think sometimes there needs to be, more bias to it. Like there has to be a balance,
Reality has a bias, right? So you have to have I don't know, some kind of common ground or connection in order to give the authentic story, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, completely agree with that. So then, like I said, in college, would you say it was beneficial for you to improve upon, some of the foundations you already had from junior high school, that, because you're a very self-motivated person. So it seems like you were already kind of doing the due diligence yourself, the hard work, because it's something you wanted to pursue. Then what would you just say with a highlight that, or just a recommendation that you think really just helped boost you into just getting more into your career once you get outside of college? Was it like working with these other associations helped make things better, or just kind of helped to get you into the field of things? Just along those lines, I guess is what I'm asking. To just improvement, and would recommend you would recommend to other, people in your same path.
Yeah, I think what comes to mind is a Bruce Lee quote, and I'm not going to even attempt quoting it because I know I'm going to get it wrong, but I'll just summarize it, which is like, learn what is provided, find what's useful, and discard everything else.
I like that.
Write down your paraphrase.
So Cal State University, East Bay, not Fullerton.
Yep.
Once you from there, and you're getting ready to graduate, or did you wrote you authored 2 books, An Absolute Mind and A Moment's Worth. Did the foundations of that happen while you were in school, or did that happen after you left school?
Okay, this is a very interesting story. I'm so glad you brought this up. So, as it's already been discussed, I've been a writer my whole life, but it wasn't till I was 20. So while I was still in college that I decided to take it more seriously, because at that point I was in such a creative block, because I had been spending so much time writing, news articles and whatnot, that it was kind of like taking a blow to my creativity as, you know, a fiction writer and so on. So I needed something to lift me up. And that came that summer in two forms. One of them is that I joined Collaboration, which for those who don't know is a nonprofit organization that's devoted to uplifting up-and-coming actors or up-and-coming performing artists in the Asian American community. So I was a part of that. And I also, one of my favorite authors released his debut novel that same summer. And I actually got to meet him on his book tour. And he is like 2 years older than me too. So it was very inspiring to see this. And he was on a major TV show at the time. And he was able to, you know, pump out a book and became a New York Times bestseller. So getting to see him make his dream come true and getting to see these Asian American artists make their dreams come true, it empowered me to take my writing more seriously and in the direction that I wanted to take it. So that fall, I came up with two ideas for books. One of them was for An Absolute Mind, and one of them was for A Moment's Worth. And I pursued A Moment's Worth first, and that came out while I was still in college.
Okay. So can we talk a little bit about, can you give us a brief synopsis on A Moment's Worth?
Yes, it is very experimental. I haven't promoted this in a while, so I might be a little rusty, forgive me. So I would say it follows three core themes. It explores the interconnectedness amongst the human race, the fine line between what is real and what could be a dream, and the value of what could happen in a moment in time. Enough said.
Okay, I like that. What sparked A Moment's, well, what for you, and why did you want to tell the story of A Moment's Worth? That's more so the question I want to ask. What was it for you that you wanted to tell that story?
Yeah, well, actually, it started with a short story that I ran for a contest that didn't get in. And so from there, I started writing these other little short stories that all were like interconnecting with each other. And so that's when I realized, oh, maybe I should just compile them all, call them chapters, and put it into a novel. And I felt motivated to tell it because at the time anyway, I hadn't really seen a book like that before. And, you know, since I already had the idea with me and I knew what to do with it, I figured, well, I can make the time to do all these other things while doing college. So might as well do it now.
Okay. I dig it. And An Absolute Mind. Give us a synopsis on that.
Okay. So An Absolute Mind is set in an optimistic future. And it follows a college student who doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. When one day she finds out she has this genetically evolved cognitive ability called absolute memory, which is the ability to perceive memories of objects. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this puts a target on her for gangs who make it their mission in life to kill people like her. So she is taken to a secret island for her safety by her godmother. And while there, she befriends a lot of other people who are in a similar situation as her. And as she's starting to get used to being there, she realizes that the people running the island are not who they say they were, and that the objection for her being there is not what she was originally told. So she has to make a decision, and her decision is to step up and to do something about it.
Okay. I like it. So,
cool.
I'm sorry. Oh, he's like, okay.
No, I think that's cool. I like the whole like things aren't as what they seem to be.
That's like my thing that I look for in the book, in like a book synopsis. It's like, you know, things are not as they seem. There's underneath. Oh, I'm hooked. I'm in. I love it.
You think you're safe, but are you?
Yes. Little did they know, right?
Yeah. So amazing. So you penned those two books, and then as you stated earlier, and we know, so you also, you know, you had your BA in communication, you minored in theater. So you're writing these novels, and you're also dabbling with collaboration, and looking at your bio, you're also working with short films, and I want to talk about that. Being that you have kind of like your foot in just novels, and also in film to a degree, Do we want to also see from your perspective? Would you like to see an Absolute Mind and A Moment's Worth translated as well? Is that something in the pipeline before we
like
just
the screen?
Yeah.
So I think I might have answered this question somewhere to someone before, although I can't remember at this time. But to answer your question, yes, absolutely. I think A Moment's Worth would work better as a limited series. If you were to rate it, you'd know that there's no way on earth that this would pass as a feature film. It has to be broken down.
Okay.
And An Absolute Mind, I would love to see adapted for film. Actually, I wrote it as a screenplay adaptation a few years ago. I've been trying to get it out there onto a couple of radars already. So
yeah, you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever thought about it? I don't know. Have I?
It's fantastic.
There we go.
Can
I have it whipped out
for us, Lauren, real quick. If you had your choosing right now, if like a Hollywood producer was like, "Hey, all right, who would you cast into it? Who would be your fan cast right now?"
Oh, fan casting. I usually would say I would want to go for unknowns. I don't know. Like usually when just writing these characters, I don't think too much like, oh, this person could play this person if it was a movie. I just see them as, just individual human beings. I don't really think about, an actor that could pass as them. But I also want to say that if An Absolute Mind were ever to be made into a film, I would love for Lupita Nyong'o to be Amara, who is Sonia's godmother. Even though Amara is described as being a mixed race woman, I would make an exception for Lupita. I think she would be fantastic in that role.
Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Cool. I like that. All right, so you penned the short film's Breath of Writing in an interview with Aswang, which I really want to, being that we are a Filipino show here, and I love all that. Let's talk about Breath of Writing first. So just how different was from a writer's perspective, how hard was it to write these novels and comparing it to writing a short film? I was actually, talking with a friend today about the comparison of like writing books and writing screenplays, because he didn't really understand, which surprised me. How is it for you in the process? Is it more difficult for you to write a short film, or is it more difficult for you, or which is easier for you to write?
Which is easier? Good question. I probably would say script writing. And I say script writing because I write plays and screenplays as well. Because, like if you read a book, you're the sole person telling the story. You're providing the dialogue, you're providing the descriptions, you're providing what's going on in the character's head even. For a script, you're providing the dialogue. It's mainly dialogue heavy. You might have the occasional line of being like, oh, they passed through this doorway and entered this new room, and that would be about it. But otherwise, you have to leave room for the actors to do the interpretation, for the directors to do their thing, and so on. So I think it's the easiest, but also the hardest, because of the fact that I come from a more prose-driven form of writing beforehand, where I'm so used to being the sole storyteller that I have to keep in mind to be like, oh, I need to make sure that there's room for people to collaborate on this as well. So, it goes back, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. I feel you on that. So let's talk about Breath of Writing and Interview with Aswang, but starting with Breath of Writing, let's talk about that short film and how that kind of came together and putting that out.
Yeah. So this was a production with Asiata Productions, and it's a production company, obviously, in the Twin Cities, and it's run by two college students who were putting out a call on, Asian Creative Network on Facebook. And they were saying they were looking for people to submit like spoken word poetry or, I don't know, prose or whatever to make a short film out of. And it's really to explore the nuances of the Asian American experience. So this was in December 2019 when I wrote out this long thing explaining, the hardships of being a writer, and especially from my perspective as a mixed race Filipino American writer. And so I sent it to them. I cut to a month later and again emailed them saying, congratulations, your thing got chosen. Yours is going to be the next film made. And here's the thing. They're in the Twin Cities and I'm in the Bay Area. And this is right before the pandemic happened. And even still, I was already getting used to virtual collaboration. We would collaborate on everything. Like they would give me the treatment for the film and ask, for my input. They would show me a rough cut and I would say things like, oh, can you switch out the background music? Because I think this could be a little bit stronger, and so on. I even went as far as saying, like in the Twin Cities, it's like a very white area of the US. But I made the effort to ask, if it's possible, can you please try and find a mixed race Filipino American actress to play this character? Or like, she's basically playing me, actually. And not only did they find one, they found two mixed race Filipino American actresses. One for, the woman you see in the film, and one to do the voice narration. So yeah, that was a very fulfilling experience. And I'm so glad to call that, my screenwriting debut that was successfully produced.
Congratulations.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
I love that. Cool. So we getting representation in Breath of Writing. I dig it. Yeah. So Breath of Writing, and of course Interview with an Aswang, which with us, and you and I personally as well, Lauren, we've talked about Trece and Budget Chan coming soon to the ShoPowSho. Finally booked him, so Budget is coming. We'll have him on. So talk about Aswang and an Interview with Aswang and how that project came together now.
Yeah. Okay. So this was about almost 4 months ago. A friend of mine, Lola, she had co-founded a new theater collective with a friend of hers from college, and they were getting ready to put on a virtual showcase of one-act plays. And so she put a call out on Facebook saying, we're looking for playwrights. If you're interested, let me know. And I wrote to her saying, hey, Laura, I'm a playwright. If you want me to contribute anything, let me know. We could talk about it. And before then, she didn't know I was a playwright. So that was a bit of a shock for her, but she was delighted. And so we got into a conversation. I was asking, what would you like me to write? Is there a thing you want me to write this under? And she said, oh, write whatever you want. So I wrote an Interview with an Aswang, or Interview with an Aswang. That's what it's called, which is kind of an adaptation of a short story I wrote a few years ago that I never did anything with, but told from a different point of view. And just to give a brief synopsis, it's about a college student who interviews her friend who was an Aswang and what her life is like. That's the very surface level synopsis of it. So I presented it to her. And it's so funny because from a technical standpoint, it was easy to produce, virtually. From a casting standpoint, not so much, because of the fact that they, she went to school in the Seattle area, which is once again, another very white part of the US. Mm. And so she and her co-founder had a very white talent pool to look from. But they understood, the need to cast Filipino Americans for this role. So they went the extra mile. Her co-founder found Teresa, who played Nora, the college student, through networking. And I got Irene, who I know from Bindle Studio, to come aboard as Kiana, the Aswang. So that's how all that came together, and my dog is barking. It was a virtual collaboration across 3 cities, or 4 cities, actually. 2 of them in the Bay Area. And so as we were getting ready to put on this performance, I thought to myself, if we did this on Zoom and I just hit record, I could actually turn this into a short film and we could submit to film festivals. And it came to mind because I was already asked to record it for a film festival I'm putting together that I'll explain later, called Mixed Asian Media Fest. And so I was thinking I can make this into a short film. So I contacted Laura, who I was co-directing this with, and I asked her, do we want to do this? And she said yes, and the actors are on board. And so a few days before the performance, we got into a Zoom call and we recorded the thing in one go.
Awesome.
And so now I've been submitting it to film festivals.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at that technology.
Bringing us all together.
So with it being our culture and more so something magical about our culture, what kind of research, what's the key thing we should know about Aswang? How about that? Make it easy. That you learned from your research.
Yes. I tell people it's like a vampire, but 1,000 times more creepy.
Okay.
No Twilight sparkles.
It is so funny you said that. And you'll have to watch the film.
Okay.
For you to understand.
I like that. Oh, look, another teaser. You're good at
teasers.
Like, I'm more excited about it.
We got them teasers in there. I dig it. So cool. I love it. Yeah. So we have that. And then you have your teleplay Time and Time Again. That was a semi-finalist in season 2 of your script produce. How was that? How did that feel to have, be chosen as a semi-finalist? And can you tell us a little bit about Time and Time Again?
Yeah, I've been submitting it to, different competitions and fellowships. And while it did actually place as a quarterfinalist for a separate competition, it didn't really go beyond that. So this is really the first time it ever became a semi-finalist in anything. And I think for this particular competition, I think it was like the top 7 percentile out of all the submissions for that contest. So that was pretty remarkable. Time and Time Again is basically about Asian Americans as time travelers. It follows 2 Filipino American teenage siblings who also have these electric powers. There's a whole story behind that, but I won't get into it. Who come across a boba tea place, and there just happens to be a time machine in a back closet somewhere. And so when they find themselves saddled with a time traveling teenager from the 90s, they decide to embark on adventures with him and their fellow adult companion, who's his childhood best friend. I have that whole dynamic planned out, but it's pretty wild. And they're looking for parts to expand the time machine to be able to travel across dimensions.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. So is that how long is that? Is it like a short? Is it a full-length feature? How long is that?
So it's a pilot.
Oh, for a show. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a 30-minute pilot, like a half hour. Okay.
Yep.
Heard. I dig it. We're gonna have to talk on that because I'm part of my little actors Barcata Filipino group. We're looking at projects, and I know you're part of some other groups with me. Girl, because we need to get that representation out there, and the people are hungry for projects like this. So with that being said, why is it so important for you now incorporating your ethnicity into your writing more so now, or is it a priority for you?
It is a priority for me. So when I was with the 2 novels, I would say most of the characters are of East Asian descent, which is, still great for Asian American representation, but it's like, that's not me. And I purposely did that for 2 reasons. One, I didn't feel like I knew much about my Filipino American heritage yet to really incorporate it into a narrative yet. I wanted to feel ready for that. And 2, I was hesitant to do so because I thought people would read it and they think, oh, this character is based on the author because this person is also Filipino American, because that never happens with white writers.
Exactly.
But now I feel more comfortable, as with myself as a Filipino American human being, that now I feel ready to see that come out more in my writing.
I love it. I love it. Clip, snap. Yes. So what are some projects we have on the horizon that you can talk about without giving away details, because we don't want to spoil anything? What are some things you're working on that we can look forward to?
Well, really the short film Interview with an Aswang is what comes to mind right now. As I said, I've been submitting it to different film festivals. It hasn't gone in anywhere, and that's only because I haven't heard back from any of them yet. I won't hear from most of them until the summer, so it's going to be a while, but I actually should be hearing back from one of them in about a week, so fingers crossed on that one.
Yes.
And I'm also working on a 3rd novel.
Okay.
I've been working on it for a couple of years now. It's kind of been a little slower than I would like, but that's in progress, so let's see where that goes.
Is there anything you can tell us on that, or you're trying to keep that still under wraps?
All I'll say is it's a follow-up to An Absolute Mind.
Hey, that's a good nugget. I'll take that. Okay.
And the lead is Filipino American.
Oh. There we go.
I guess I maybe one more note. It's primarily set in a futuristic Soma Pilipinas, which is the Filipino district in San Francisco.
Okay.
Very cool.
Ooh. So what would be some projects you would like to do outside of some of these novels that you have planned up, or actually with you getting closer to your culture and your ethnicity and finding yourself as a writer? One of the things that I've expressed on this program, and I'm gonna do promo again for it right now. I want to do the Battle of Mactan story and tell the tale of Lapu Lapu, and have Chavi de Guzman as my Lapu Lapu, and Magellan played by Oscar Isaac. And my boy Chavi actually hit me up. He's like, I got the perfect cat to play Datu Ramabuban. I know I'm pronouncing that name wrong, but he got me an actor to play him. I think it's Alex Minari. That's the guy. That's one of his boys. So like, he's helping me out, flesh out my cast right now. So I want to tell this.
I love that this is now canon, that we've been talking about this for so long.
Feel me?
Months.
We're going to make it happen.
Manifestation.
So, exactly. I'm putting it into the universe. So for you, Lauren, what is there anything like that along those lines? Like Diana Paragas, we recently had her on, and she has this amazing story about the female guerrillas during the war, which is I can't wait to have that happen.
Yeah, I saw that in here, and I remember hearing that. I'm like, oh my god, that sounds so good. Can we have that like right now, please?
Exactly. Is there anything like that you have, like story that you, while doing your research and learning about yourself, like for me, finding that stuff out, and like Diana learning about all of that for herself? Is there anything that you've come across that you'd like to tell maybe down the line? It doesn't have to be fully realized, but is there anything that you've learned from our history that you want to interpret maybe as a screenplay, short film, episodic novel, anything like that for you?
Well, I mean, there's this one short film idea that I have in mind that's actually inspired by my family history. That I think I've actually seen a short film that was made a couple of years ago that comes kind of close to it, but it's a little different. But yeah, it's actually based off of an experience my great aunt went through when she was studying here in the US from the Philippines in the 1950s in the South.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe like doing a short film that is kind of inspired by that experience that she went through, I think would be pretty interesting to explore.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I guess maybe like a dream project goes, like this is really, really far-fetched. So I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Let's put it in the universe, girl.
Like if I ever find myself privileged enough to acquire an IP from, I don't know, Disney, then I would want to continue the story that was being told in So Weird. Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's a Disney Channel show from the late 90s, early 2000s. It was basically the X-Files, but for kids. And it follows this teenage girl who had her own website in the late 90s. And her encounter with the paranormal while out on the road for her mom's coming back to her, and along the way is also piecing together the puzzle that led to the untimely death of her father. So like for the first 2 seasons, it was pretty much exactly how it played out by John Cooksey, who was like, the overseer of that universe. But in the 3rd season, the lead actress left, and Disney Channel wanted to take a lighter tone, so they brought in this new actress to fill in for her. And it just became very, very unrecognizable to the point where a lot of fans were not happy with it, myself included. So I would love it if I could one day come on and maybe, I don't know if it would be the form of a feature film or something for Disney Plus or whatever, but I would love it to come on and maybe like bring on like a new teenage protagonist, a Filipino American protagonist, because of course, and have her like get the story that was supposed to happen off the ground again and get it told all the way through. But yeah, that's all I can really say. I don't want to get into specifics because I don't want to give away too much, especially for something that I don't know if it will ever happen, but I'm putting it out into the universe to some extent.
There we go. I love it. I'm curious, is it on Disney Plus?
It's on Disney Plus. Oh my God, it is so crazy. You don't know how lucky we feel that is on Disney Plus, because for years it was not available legally. We could only watch rips of it on YouTube. So the fact that it's on Disney Plus at all is just a freaking miracle.
Yes. You got
it. Pulling everything out of the closet.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna have to. I wrote that down too.
I did too. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna check this out.
As soon as she said X-Files, kids, okay, I'm gonna cop that. I'm gonna check that out. All right, so I love that. I love that. I know you do amazing work with us, with the Nerds of Color, Hapa Mag, CAAM, and you do interviews with us as well, and you've been doing some great ones at some of these recent festivals. Are there any interviews coming up that we can look forward to, or is there a particular guest you'd like to have and talk to, and who would that be?
Well, right now, I'm sure it'll be out by the time this episode comes out, but right now I'm getting ready to put out a second interview I did with Patrick Clanton, who is the maker of Behind the Magic YouTube channel. I interviewed him last summer, a few months after it launched, but it has changed so much since then in all the best possible ways that I'm like, I have to do a follow-up with him. And I interviewed him last week, and yeah, it went very well. So I'm hoping to get that up within the next few days. Again, it will probably be out by the time this episode comes out. But a dream interviewee. Oh man. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure who to name, just because like I've interviewed so many people, but I'm sure that you could probably name someone and be like, yes, I want to interview that person. But yeah, I can't think of anyone at this time.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do a follow-up.
Okay.
And hit you up.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm sure you know the drill, being part of the Nerds of Color, but we're gonna go into our nerd check. And so what is it that you are super nerdy and passionate about, besides so weird?
Oh man, I've been kind of dreading this question because I feel like I can apply so many answers to this. I'm just so nerdy about so many things. I could probably I actually have 5 items written down right here, so I could do that. Like I could probably do something about, like if I were to do a TED Talk, I could probably do something about Star Wars, and maybe particularly about how underrated Star Wars Rebels is as a series. It's so good. If you have not watched it, it's on Disney Plus. You have no excuse. Go watch it. I have spoken. I also
I'm tickled by that because my husband just convinced me to watch Rebels. I stopped at Clone Wars and he's like, no, we have to do Rebels. I'm like, all right. So
it's so good. It is so good. I also love Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
So I could probably definitely do something about that. And I want to work at Avatar Studios as a writer. Please. Mike DiMartino, Brian Kanisko, if you're watching this, hire me, please.
Yeah.
I grew up on your stuff. Let me contribute to this world. I could also probably maybe do a talk about keeping a journal, because I've been doing that for 19 years and I know quite a bit about it.
19 years. Huh. I can't keep mine going for more than like 3 weeks. Oh gosh, I'm so impressed.
Is it like hard journaling or like digital journaling, bullet journaling?
I guess just regular journaling. I don't know what hard journaling is.
I meant like a book. Yeah, like in a book.
Oh,
hard
then
journaling.
Yeah, hard journaling then. Yeah,
I just made that up. Don't. That's not a thing.
That's not a real term.
Sorry.
Oh. So many terms, and I don't know if they all exist. Yeah, I could probably do something about that. I could probably do a talk about Asian American representation in media, because that's part of my work. I could probably do something about being mixed race and all the nuances that come with that. The list goes on, but there's just so many things I'm passionate about.
I love it.
I love it. That was a great answer.
Yeah, that's really good.
I was just being like funny. Like, let's live 5, and you're like, no, I do really have 5. So
actually, I'm prepared.
That is awesome. Lauren, we really appreciate you, man, giving us your time and your energy and your vibe and connecting. You know, we are here to tell stories, and you've been with us since the start. I've been, asking, who you can get us as guests, and we've got a great list of people, and we have a laundry list of people that are ready to come on. So it's beautiful. So I can't thank you enough for your support as part of the Nerds of Color team, helping make that happen, and also sharing your journey and giving your story. So thank you so much. How can our viewers check you out online? I'll have the info in the description below, but if you could just, for our audio version of our podcast, tell them how they can reach out to you if they want to hit you up and get copies of your amazing novels and your work.
Yes, so you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @LaurenLola. I'm sure it'll be provided down below, so I won't have to spell it. If you're on Goodreads, hit me up. I'm on Goodreads because, of course, I am. I love reading books. I love reviewing books, so let's talk about it. I have a website that you can check out. That is www.lolabythebay.wordpress.com, and it has all the links and everything they need to know about my books and where to purchase them. What else? Oh, yeah. I mentioned before, Mixed Asian Media Fest is a new Asian American film festival that I am involved with, starting up with Alex Chester, who is like the boss at Hapa Mag and this film festival as well. So if you have anything that you want to submit, please do that. We're on Film Freeway. That's the way to do it. And also, if you're into the film festival circuit, keep an eye out. Maybe Interview with an Aswang might be in, maybe not. I'm not sure. But keep an eye out for it because we're going to get it out there somehow. And that's about it.
I love it. Awesome. We're going to put this all into the universe. And hopefully the writers over at Avatar: The Last Airbender, Lauren's ready. She's ready. Let's put it in the universe. Get her hired. We want to make that happen and make Interview with Aswang happen and just all of those projects happen. Thank you, Lauren, so much for your time. You're a part of our ShoPowSho family. You're part of our Mestizo Mafia. Welcome. We are Kababayan. We take care of each other. We support each other, and we're happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No worries. All right, there you go, Miss Lauren Lola from the Nerds of Color, Hapa Mag Cam. She's just doing it everywhere. Novelist, writer, screenplay, everything. She's writing everything. She's writing her butt off. And we need to get her a job over at Avatar: The Last Airbender. She knows all about it. She's got the storylines in her head. She's good to go. Let's make it happen. Let's put that. We're putting it out there. Yeah. All right, y'all. What do y'all think of this one? Learning about her history, very much like us. Still exploring, learning her culture, which it's great to feel seen in a way that we're all going through it. I know that was what it was for me, is that we're not alone in learning about ourselves.
It's just another example of how Filipinos are not a monolith, and even us mestizo Filipinos are not a monolith, and that we all have unique experiences. And it was just really great to hear her say, like, my Filipino culture wasn't really prominent as I was growing up, but I'm able to claim it and to live it, and then to promote that diversity and to promote that representation in her work. So that's just beautiful.
Absolutely. Making cultural connections can come later in life if it takes you a little while to get comfortable or get familiar. I think that's a really nice message.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. For you, Kat, because I know you're a writer as well. What did you think about that writing journey and kind of just adapting yourself?
I think it's lovely. I love the way that she summarized her works. I'm definitely going to look it up. I'm definitely, I can't say for sure till I sit down and read them, but I feel like she's going to have another fan. So, and of course, so I love seeing Filipinos going out there and doing it. And I especially love seeing Filipino women going out and doing it. So
yes.
Stoked.
Yes. I love it. Well, Ates, we got another one in the can. It's been so long since we've done this. I'm happy to, I feel at home again because I have y'all. I know our schedules are crazy. It's busy. We've been knocking it out. And so it's just fun to do it again and see you guys. I'm super excited for what we have coming up next. And if you didn't catch it, I threw it in there because we were talking about Aswang. We have Bujit Tan. I've booked him all the way in Denmark. But he's got his books, which are just blown up everywhere. It was just recently announced that the animated series will be happening with Shay Mitchell from, I forgot what show she's on, but she's going to be one of the voices. I think Young Pretty Liars is the show she's on. But just they're announcing the cast, but it's happening. And that Filipino representation, because Shay is us. She's Filipina. Yes. So it's happening, y'all. And so we'll be getting more into like, Filipino folk mythologies. I was talking with Kat. She's got some additional history stuff happening. We got a lot of stuff happening. And so I hope you all check us out on ShoPowSho. But until then, check out the amazing Ates and yours truly at these various sites, which we're going to tell you right now. So here we go. Tell them where they can find us.
All right. You can find me, Cataphoric, on Instagram or Twitter. Also on TikTok. We have a ShoPowSho TikTok. If you want a little bit more behind the scenes, then follow us on our Patreon.
Yes, yes. Viva, Valentina. It looks like she's frozen. There we go. She's back. All right, Viva, tell us where they can find you. She's frozen again.
Y'all are frozen.
No.
You're frozen.
We're in real time, baby.
Look at that little smiley face right there. That's what we're seeing right now. Oh, and she's disappeared, but she's back again. Here she is. You're in real time. Tell us how they can find you, Viva.
I was just like, yep, you guys are here. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I thought you were frozen. You can find me on Instagram and you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at viva.valentina. Check out my stuffy spa. I restore stuffed animals. It's super wholesome and cute. And you can also find me on Twitter and chess.com at vivavalentinaxo.
Yes, yes. So before we get frozen again, all the information is in the description below. Check us out. Follow the amazing Ates, the Lechon ladies, the Tocino Terminators. I love them immensely. Mahakita. I'm your boy, Kuyapi. You can follow me at Strange Since 1977 and at Temple Far East, as well as at the NRW, where nerds rule the world. And of course, the Nerds of Color, where it is the home of the ShoPowSho. We love y'all. Mahakita. Salamat. We're out here.
Mahakita din.
Boom.
Hey everyone, I'm Lola. I am an author, blogger, playwright, and screenwriter, and I am the latest guest on ShoPowSho. Please go check it out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Hey everyone, I'm Lola. I'm an author, blogger, playwright, and screenwriter, and I'm also Filipino American. And to me, my Filipino ancestry is very important because it's a way for me to reclaim a part of who I am when it wasn't part of my upbringing. And as a result, it's a way for me to figure out who I am as a whole and carry forward into the future.